Let's just start right there, Shane, because that was game of the week in the SEC. LSU beats Ole Miss 45-20. And yeah, like you said, I mean, we text back and forth during these games. Ole Miss jumps out to 17-3 lead. I'm saying, oh, you're driving down to the store to get that black face paint, aren't you? And, you know, even though the final score was lopsided, Shane, I mean, this was a 24-20 ball game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But LSU 42-3 run to end the football game, just dominated the fourth quarter. This is the second time this season, Shane. I should look up the guy's name, but whoever the hell's the strengths coach down there, you know, they made a big deal when they ran off Tommy Moffitt, the former. He'd been there since like the 90s. Brian Kelly brings in his own guy, and, you know, this is no shot at Tommy Moffitt, but whoever the hell they got running that department, Shane, they know what they're doing because LSU is just dominating in these fourth quarters, and they look damn good, didn't they?
Absolutely. Another fantastic game for Daniels, and you know, he's not quite getting the respect he deserves, but I think here in a couple of weeks, you're watching a strong SEC quarterback showing down there, and this LSU Tigers, man, they're resilient. I told you during the Tennessee game, and Coach Kelly comes out after this and makes a comment that, hey, he saw this during the Vols game, and I did too, brother. I'm telling you, there's a lot of fight. There's some great players. And the way they schemed up, and especially second half adjustments, they just dominate. Kelly out-coached Kiffin, man. That's all it is, plain and simple.
Well, you're saying Jane Daniels don't get enough respect. He's getting it on this show. 21 of 28, 248 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 121 rushing yards, 3 more touchdowns, so 5 total touchdowns. SEC Offensive Player of the Week. How can it be anyone other than Jaden Daniels? 11 touchdowns now, Shane, in the last 2 weeks alone against SEC competition. How about this, Shane? Final 8 drives of the ball game. LSU scored 6 touchdowns on those 8 drives. I mean, that's just incredible. Like you said, Brian Kelly out here, not only did he out-coach Lane Kiffin, he's trolling him on Twitter after the game. I mean, how often do you see Lane Kiffin get on the wrong side of a Twitter exchange? I just thought that was fantastic. We'll throw it up on the YouTube if you're watching. This game really, though, Shane, came down to the red zone. LSU 6 for 6 in the red zone for 38 points. Ole Miss 3 of 4, 17 points in the red zone. And Jackson Dart threw that really tough interception. You know, I've seen Ole Miss people say, well, hell, that wasn't on him. He was getting pressure. But at the same time, you just can't loft the ball up in the end zone.
Exactly.
It was an incredible play by Joe Fouché, one-handed interception. We got to give him credit. But in a tight ball game like this on the road, you got to come away with points down there. And right there, had Ole Miss scored a touchdown, they would have taken a lead. And maybe they would have gotten some more momentum. But man, this is what you have been saying for about a month, Shane. Jackson Dart, can he win you a game with his arm? Ole Miss, after the very red-hot start, they were unable to run the ball, and, you know, it's not that simple, but LSU controlling the down and distance, and then Ole Miss basically had no answer in the second half, did they?
No, and one thing, and I don't give Gary enough credit, but one of the comments he made during this game is that Kelly finally trusts Jaden. And it just kind of rolled off. And then I thought about it. It's some of the play calls that we're seeing. It's almost like they did release more of the playbook to him. And they're allowing him to throw down the field because, you know, at the start of the season, this was a running back. He was almost like a Jackson Dart. He was just ready to run the ball 24/7, but now he's getting a little bit more comfortable back there in the pocket. And kudos to the offensive line, which has been shifted around nonstop this entire season. They came together and gave him an opportunity to find. And when he didn't have it, he didn't hesitate to pull it. I just thought that was eye-opening to me. Now, on the flip side of the ball, here you got Ole Miss, and you know, I was worried about Dart having that game because LSU loaded the box, man. We knew they were going to force him to win this game with his arm. And, you know, at the start of this thing, I thought, shit, he's going to do it. But then he just kind of the scripted plays went away, and then now, he had to go through his own progressions, and he almost kind of panicked. And one of the things they talked about before this game, he's never played in a large crowd like the Death Valley, and this place was rocking. So I think that's got to be part of it. Stupid penalties, stupid mistakes during the whole thing. Ole Miss is a better team than they look Saturday. I truly believe it. But this needs to be a wake-up call. And more importantly, it needs to be a wake-up call for Lane Kiffin. Is this your guy? Are you going to put all your chips on Dart? Nothing against him. I think he's a very physical, talented player. But can he win the games? Because you've got an excellent running back. Well, we probably should mention Evans didn't play in this game,
right.
so that's truly a factor. But Judkins looked good. He kept LSU honest. But they need to be more balanced, and I think that's what Kiffin's going to, I think, make some tough choices this week.
Well, let me ask you this, Shane. You mentioned the penalties. I'll reference that real quick. 10 penalties for Ole Miss, 111 penalty yards.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're not going to win in the SEC on the road doing that. That was rough. But let's try to stay positive here for a second. LSU now. This is something that we kind of hit it at, but we didn't really want to go deep down that road till we saw them against Ole Miss. But right now, Shane, they are right there. Next game, Alabama at home.
Mm-hmm.
If LSU beats Alabama, which we'll get to them in a minute, they will control their destiny. Hell, they control their destiny now. But of course, you got to beat Alabama. How incredible of a job is this by Brian Kelly and company that, no one's been talking about LSU as a SEC contender, and they've earned that right now.
Absolutely. And it's funny because at the start of the season, we really were on him, man. Myself included. I'm not going to lie. He's trying to get back into Notre Dame and all this stuff. But we thought it was going to be a build. I really did. I thought it was going to be a rebuild. I thought it was a year off from being competitive, 2 years from really making some noise in the SEC West. And then here we are halfway through the season, and we got Alabama coming to town and saying, you know what, LSU has a shot to be number 1 seed in the West. Could you imagine? It's at home. You couldn't paint any perfect. They haven't decided what time this game is right yet. Is that correct?
They have not, but they'll announce that on Monday.
Okay, so, I'm expecting a night game, and that's going to make for an electric environment, and I think Kelly and company are ready for that. It's one thing to call out Alabama, you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing that for the LSU Tigers, but they keep playing the way they've been playing. Well-balanced, good defense. That's how you win these games.
Yeah, so let me go down the schedule real quick, Shane. They got 2 weeks to prepare. They got a bye week. Like you said, Alabama at home, at Arkansas, UAB at home, and at Texas A&M. If they can beat Alabama, that's a monumental ask, but if they can, there's no reason they can't win the rest of them, don't you think?
No.
It's not a given by any means at Arkansas,
right.
At A&M, but hell, if you can beat Alabama, you should be able to beat those teams.
If you can beat Alabama, Mike, you can beat anybody in the SEC.
Right.
They're still the top dog, and I know I'm a Tennessee homer, and I'm glad we got that win. But you poll the audience, ain't one damn Tennessee fan want to play that team again. You know what I'm saying? We want LSU to win. We'd rather go against LSU again. So, Not saying Georgia, calm down. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to the SEC championship. We know it goes through Athens, but I will say if you can beat Alabama, you can beat anybody.
Well, let me also add this, Shane. That game, Alabama at LSU.
Yeah.
Same day, Tennessee at Georgia. Oh, imagine that back-to-back doubleheader here on Saturday, November 5th. You know what?
CBS flexing that one. You know they already are. They're going to fly Gary to both them games.
Now, what about